Artificial Intelligence and the Multilingual World Between Technological Progress and Digital Colonization by Dr. Jacques Coulardeau and Doctorant Mohammad, Merajul, ISLAM. The rapid development of artificial intelligence has transformed the global technological landscape within only a few years. Large language models, automated translation systems, predictive algorithm, and generative AI are now becoming central to education, communication, administration, research, and economic production. Yet, behind this technological acceleration lies a major question that remains insufficiently explored. Can artificial intelligence genuinely function in a multilingual world without reinforcing new forms of linguistic domination? Only between 6 and 12 languages can realistically accumulate the approximately 3 trillion data points required for frontier-scale large language models. The remaining 7,500 languages, most of them spoken across the global south, lack the digitized corpora, computational infrastructure, and institutional support necessary to build autonomous AI systems. According to UNESCO 2025, more than 2,500 languages are currently endangered worldwide, of which 576 are critically endangered. In Africa alone, approximately 2,000 languages have no meaningful AI support whatsoever. This question becomes particularly urgent for the global south, where linguistic diversity is not an exception but the normal condition of social life. Thousands of languages continue to exist across Asia, Africa, and Latin America, often within multilingual societies where several languages, dialects, and religious traditions coexist simultaneously. Modern AI systems, however, are largely concentrated around a very small number of dominant languages, supported by massive quantities of digital data. This imbalance raises the possibility that AI may unintentionally create a new form of digital hierarchy, with thousands of minority languages reduced to translated extensions of the new dominant ones. The problem is not simply technological, it is also cultural, linguistic, philosophical, and civilizational. The structural imbalance of AI. Current frontier-scale AI systems depend upon enormous quantities of linguistic material. The most powerful models are trained on vast digital corpora containing books, websites, archives, videos, academic materials, social media interaction, and institutional documents. Only a limited number of languages possess such extensive digitized ecosystems. English occupies a uniquely dominant position, followed by a relatively small group of globally influential languages such as Chinese, Spanish, French, Arabic, and Russian. A detailed analysis of OpenAI's GPT-3 training corpus reveals English constitutes 92.65% of the training data, French 1.82%, German 1.47%, and all other 100-plus languages only 1.90%. More recent surveys confirm that 70 to 80% of training corpora remain English-dominated. UREC Alert, Higher Education Press, 2025. As a consequence, minority languages increasingly depend on translation-based integration into larger linguistic systems. This process may appear inclusive at first sight, since AI translation gives access to digital tools and global communication. Yet, a language integrated into a dominant AI environment is no longer functioning entirely according to its own semantic logic, cultural memory, or grammatical architecture. It becomes partially reinterpreted through the structures of the host language. A 2025 benchmark report from the Mohammad bin Zayed University of Artificial Intelligence assessed major LLMs on non-English languages and found dramatic accuracy drops compared to English. Chinese, Mandarin, approximately 60%, Arabic 69%, and Spanish 50%. These numbers mean that an Arabic speaker using an AI system today receives answers that are nearly 70% less reliable than those received by an English speaker. This is a structural feature of how current AI is built. Digital colonization, a historical continuity. This is where the concept of digital colonization becomes relevant. Historically, colonial systems often imposed administrative, educational, and linguistic hierarchies upon conquered populations. In a digital age, linguistic domination may emerge not through direct political conquest, but through computational dependence. Languages lacking a large-scale AI infrastructure may gradually lose epistemic autonomy under dominant linguistic intermediaries. We should discuss here the problem of nominal composition and ergativity, the latter wrongly translated by passive by John D. Frozell, UCLA, and Martin Haspermath, Max Planck Institute, Leipzig. Translation itself is not neutral. Every language organizes reality differently. Grammatical structures, conceptual associations, metaphorical systems, temporal organization, and semantic AI systems trained primarily on dominantly English linguistic structures may therefore reduce or reinterpret features they do not fit their statistical expectations. The challenge of non-Indo-European structures. Besides ergativity we have already mentioned, other languages depend heavily upon agglutination, where multiple morphemes combine into single words. Tonal distinction, where pitch changes meaning, or highly flexible word order. Some languages encode social hierarchy, gender relations, or spiritual concepts directly within grammar itself. In such cases, translation into a dominant AI framework would flatten important conceptual distinctions. We should discuss here the passive, which is by some considered as a translation of ergativity, which it is not. Even apparently simple linguistic constructions illustrate the difficulty. Word order, qualification patterns, compound formation, or stress placement may carry meanings that cannot easily be transferred. Imagine the reaction if the French president concluded a direct address to the people of France with the typical American formula, Dieu bénisse la France. Multilingual civilization, Arabic, Islam, Buddhism. The issue becomes even more complex in multilingual civilization, where language is deeply connected to religion, identity, and historical continuity. The Arabic-speaking world offers an important example. Everyday Arabic exists through numerous regional dialects that differ significantly across countries: Egyptian, Levantine, Maghrebi, and Gulf. Sometimes to the point of mutual unintelligibility. At the same time, classical or Quranic Arabic occupies a unique religious and symbolic position. Any AI system operating in this environment must navigate not only linguistic diversity, but also cultural and theological sensitivity. A purely standardized model based on modern standard Arabic alone would fail to reflect the lived multilingual reality of Arabic-speaking societies, as the Technology Innovation Institute in the United Arab Emirates showed in 2025. Comparable questions emerge within the wider Muslim world. Bangladesh, Pakistan, Indonesia, and Malaysia function through Bengali, Urdu, Bahasa Indonesia, Malay, and hundreds of local dialects. Religious knowledge circulates through Arabic, while everyday life unfolds in these vernaculars. Buddhist traditions developed across Sanskrit, Pali, Tibetan, Chinese, Japanese, Thai, Burmese, and Sinhala. AI systems designed with simplified monolingual assumptions may struggle to represent these overlapping intellectual traditions accurately. The limitations extend to Africa as well, which achieves a BLEU, bilingual evaluation understudy, of around 30% for most African languages, far below the standard of native level translation, which typically exceeds 60 to 70%. Meta AI 2022, Nature 2025. Note that even these 60-70% are not particularly good. China, the most significant contemporary case. The Chinese state has recently accelerated the integration of AI into education and public life, including the introduction of AI-related learning at the very early educational levels, according to some reports mentioning as young as 6-year-olds. China has also reportedly developed AI systems that require less sophisticated digital infrastructure and consume significantly less energy, making them cheaper and more sustainable through heavy investment in nuclear, solar, and wind power. China views AI as a strategic civilizational project. Yet, what does it mean to introduce AI at all school levels in a multilingual and multidialectal civilization like China? Millions of Chinese children speak regional languages or dialects at home, such as Cantonese, Hokkien, Shanghainese, or minority languages like Uyghur, Tibetan, or Mongolian. When these children enter school and encounter AI-powered educational tools trained primarily on standard Mandarin, their home languages become invisible, statistically marginal, and pedagogically absent. This is not necessarily intentional colonization, but the effect is similar. Children learn that their first languages have no place inside the digital future. Over a generation, language shift will accelerate. The very diversity that makes human civilization rich might be sacrificed to computational efficiency. How does China deal with the problem? The possible futures: either the international research community begins working urgently on these assumptions, creating genuinely multilingual, multidialectal, and multi-civilizational AI architectures, or we accept that by technical diktat all digital AI in the world shall work with only 6 to 12 languages. Why not English alone, or Chinese, or Arabic? The choice would not be democratic. It would be determined by whoever controls the largest data centers and the most advanced models. Conclusion: Fanon's warning. This entire situation sounds like Frantz Fanon's black skin, white masks. In the colonial era, a person of color had to wear a white mask to be accepted. In the digital age, a minority language must wear the grammatical and conceptual mask of a dominant language to be processed by AI. The mask is not made of cloth or plastic. It is made of statistical probability, training data, and optimization functions. The central question is therefore no longer whether artificial intelligence can become more powerful. The deeper question is whether humanity can construct forms of AI that remain compatible with the plurality of human cultures, languages, and civilizations. If this challenge is ignored, technological progress may gradually produce a world in which linguistic efficiency replaces linguistic diversity. Thousands of languages could remain socially alive while becoming digitally marginal, dependent, or semantically transformed inside larger computational empires. The debate surrounding multilingual AI is therefore not secondary to the future of technology. It stands at the very center of the relationship between human civilization and the digital age. I would propose here a conclusion in the form of a musical outro. Black skin, singular. One drop of black blood makes your skin black. White masks, plural, because among whites you can have some variety from blonde to fair skin, or even a whiter shade of pale, as Procol Harum looked and sounded so romantic when singing that song. That's where digital colonialism starts, and Frantz Fanon would say it is inescapable to have new anti-colonial wars, the Butlerian jihad of Frank Herbert. Procol Harum tells us about the conquistador in the most naive way possible. And as the gloom begins to fall, I see there is no aureole, though you came with sword held high. You did not conquer, only die. Good afternoon.